Welcome to the weekend, everyone. This is the Lazy Bums Podcast, episode 0.1. And today we're joined by me, your host, Caleb Kalinda, and our co-host,
Abina Chalice.
Today we're coming back after a long while to talk about recent developments in the sporting world, including the bubble in NBA Orlando due to COVID and the potential for an NFL football season.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've had things to talk about in the sporting world, but now there are some developments and things are getting interesting.
Yeah, we're beginning to adjust to life with COVID, and we're beginning to see what that's starting to look like for sports. There was speculation for a long time after the shutdown that the NBA would be coming back in a different way, without fans. And, there's since COVID started, there's been this sort of thing where we would need some sort of bubble. And that's exactly what we've gotten here in Disney World, of all places.
Right. Honestly, I think the outlook looked pretty bleak. Like when the whole COVID thing started, like I was fairly certain that there was no way.
When players started getting the virus, that really kind of set off a lot of alarms for me. Like when big players, Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, right.
Getting COVID kind of as the first people in the NBA to be really affected by it, and that just set off this huge chain of events that led to the shutdown of the league and suspension of the season until
now. I guess that shows us that you can't stop the cash cow that is the NBA, man. They know how much money they're gonna make from this. It's gonna be the playoffs. Everyone needs something to watch right now, and they're gonna make a ton of money.
Yeah. There's no better marketing tool than supply and demand.
Yeah. And in the middle of a global pandemic,
there's been a lot of demand for the NBA to come back. And so basically what this means is that there's going to be a few teams. I think any team that's anywhere near playoff contention, I think it's 7 or maybe 6 games back. Is the cutoff for playoff teams?
Yeah, so there are actually 22 teams that were invited to NBA Orlando, and it was voted by the owners, and there was kind of a big fuss made because Portland, they went against it. They were the only team to vote against it. It was 29-1. But anyway, so there are 22 teams that were within reasonable range of the playoffs that were invited to NBA Orlando, and they'll be competing for the last... or to basically lock themselves into the playoffs. So 1 through 7 are locked in, and if the 8 and 9 seed are within 4 games of each other, there's going to be a playoff, to get the seed.
Yeah, in the East, it looks pretty locked up. There's a pretty big disparity between the 8 seed and the teams below the 8 seed. And obviously the teams at the top on the East are going to stay at the top. Although, there is some concern with the Nets at the moment because of the outbreak that's going on in New York, and obviously affecting the Nets team. DeAndre Jordan tested positive for COVID. Spencer Dinwiddie tested positive for COVID. It's just a very weird situation going on over there in Brooklyn, and it's a very tough situation to have going into something like this. Whether or not they're looking at a play, and I don't think they have any significant chance in
the grand scheme of things
in the playoffs, and I don't think the Nets are going to be going into NBA Orlando looking to win or to come anywhere near winning.
What was interesting? A lot of people are talking about, this season might have an asterisk next to the champion because it was, a really odd season.
Yeah.
No fans. It was shortened. The time that the players had to get ready is all different. Everyone's schedule really has been thrown out of sorts. So
of course the entire regular season being nixed, and not having to play those regular season games, it's going to throw off stats and averages and everything. And so I think everyone kind of had that initial reaction of is this season really going to be counted as an actual NBA season?
We'll see. Even with the UFC, they tried doing it. One of their fighters got COVID.
Right.
He tested positive the night before the fight. So
they just ended up cutting the main card.
Yeah.
But the UFC is not the NBA.
Yeah, exactly. The NBA has much I feel like, bigger responsibility to take action if something like that does happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
More eyes on it for sure.
I mean, I think if we see something like the outbreak that happened in the initial scare, like these star players getting it and spreading it to their teammates, and then, you know, at the end of the day, the whole team is exposed.
Yeah.
And so if there's one guy that has COVID and he is practiced in the bubble with his team,
trained with his team,
that whole team's going to have to be quarantined
for sure.
And so there's a possibility that they'll miss out on their seeding games.
I mean, it's just, there's so much that the NBA's got to account for. Like, it's really going to be interesting to see how it plays out, and if it even plays out.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what if before this even starts someone gets COVID and
right. I'm just trying to imagine a situation, and like we get to the Western Conference Finals and Kawhi Leonard tests positive for COVID, and like if it's like Lakers Clippers and the Clippers lose the Western Conference Finals because they had to forfeit because they had to be quarantined.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what would that mean to the championship? You know,
in that if that ends up being
the case,
the outcome of this whole thing, then there is a huge asterisk on this season and this championship. And we could see more delays if that starts to happen, and maybe they will end up just canceling the season.
So it seems like a lot of people are looking at this narrative in terms of LeBron James, because we know that his legacy is just one where the main criticism that he has is that he doesn't win as many finals as MJ or all the other greats for that matter. So I think the main thing here is if he goes through the Clippers, I think that's the matchup we're all waiting for in the West. In the end, is Lakers Clippers, and if he goes through the Clippers and wins it in LA, and then proceeds to win the finals, like, I don't think anyone will really have a problem with that championship. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, that's the best team, is the Clippers, the other team in LA.
Sure. I mean, I'd say if we don't have any complications and every team is playing, with the available people that they have, and I mean, I don't think there's any real grounds to say that the Lakers, like, even if the Clippers end up winning and the Lakers fans get angry or whatever and look for something to blame it on, I don't think they can blame it on players like Avery Bradley missing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
I feel like it is a legitimate test of these guys.
Man, did you see those pictures of LeBron in quarantine? I think he was like doing a workout or something, and he looked like a crazy old man. Like his beard was all grown out, and he was just like,
I saw the quarantine beard. I saw a bunch of players, their quarantine kind of styles now. Like, people are growing out their hair.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, it's actually really cool, and something that I think is really cool about the restart is that we're going to see a lot more individuality. Players are speaking up in volumes, and that's something that we haven't really seen for a long time, because there's been this huge shut up and dribble narrative stigma in talk sports, and so we haven't seen players get the opportunity or the platform to speak up. But now they have such huge social media followings, and there's a lot more liberal thinking going on in sports media. And so they're getting platforms, and they're getting put out there, their thoughts and their feelings. And, we're going to see Black Lives Matter painted on the sidelines, and players have the option to change the names on the back of their jerseys. And I think that's really a really cool way for the NBA to, take hold of that movement and allow the players to express themselves.
It's younger, like, more, they're living in today, not like some old NFL fans that are reminiscing on the Cowboys' run to the Super Bowl, saying the Cowboys are... Man, I'm one of the things that I'm least excited about with this football season is hearing Cowboys fans again. Every season, just stop with the predictions of the Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl. It's never gonna happen.
Well, it's the same with Lakers fans. In my eyes, it's gotten to the point where it's the same.
The Lakers have a chance though this year. Like, they're probably the favorites,
and they've won a championship in this millennium.
They're the most obnoxious fans in the NFL.
I'd say they're the most obnoxious fans in the world of sports.
Yeah, in the world of sports, for sure. They're just...
I'm not even... I don't hate the Cowboys. I mean, neither of us do. We're Patriots fans. We don't really... we don't care about the Cowboys. We don't play them in the regular season or anything.
Those Cowboys fans make me hate the Cowboys. Sorry, but it's the truth. I mean, they're okay. But let's be real, like they're not winning the Super Bowl every year.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Anyway, back to the bubble.
Yeah.
Obviously, the East is kind of locked up. There might be some leeway with the Nets, but the West is pretty wide open at the moment for the play-in games.
It is. You got the Blazers in the 9th seed right now. I mean,
they're the biggest challengers at the moment.
Yeah.
It's Damian Lillard is. I mean, he's an elite player. It's at this point we can say that he is one of the best, probably top 3-point guards in the league.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he's been incredible the last couple of years, and now they have a shot. I mean, I really want them to go into the playoffs, but I really want the Grizzlies to as well.
Yeah, it would be really nice to see Ja Morant in his
season.
in his rookie season going to the playoffs and leading a underwhelming Grizzlies team to the playoffs. But that team, I mean, I don't need to see them in the playoffs this year. They're a very, very young team. Jaren Jackson is super young. Ja's, a rookie.
Even younger.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of movement for that team. Like they're on an upward tick. And
Yeah.
I mean, even if I just want to see Ja. I don't care about the Grizzlies.
I do too.
I just want to see Ja and see him do something in the playoffs. But I don't know if this is the year for him. I hope that Dame gets in.
I mean, even if it's not, there are going to be many opportunities in the future for that team.
I would rather see Damian Lillard in the playoffs than Ja Morant.
We don't know what Ja can do, though.
Yeah, but we know what Dame can do.
Yeah, Dame is a
We've
bucket
seen
all
what
the
Dame
time.
can do.
He's
I mean,
a bucket
come on.
all the time.
He's delivered 2 of the most exciting playoff moments in the history of NBA basketball.
Yeah.
He's electrifying.
That wave off against the Thunder is one of the best things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. And for that reason, and pretty much that reason alone, I want to see the Blazers.
The Celtics might do it, They won't, though.
Well, they'll have a really good competitive edge going into the at least the Eastern Conference.
I think
side of
Jason
things.
Tatum's gonna go nuts. You see his new haircut?
Yeah,
He looks crazy.
he does.
He looks
So
crazy.
does Giannis though, and Giannis is kind of poised to make a pretty big comeback here in NBA Orlando.
He's already scary enough.
Yeah.
But speaking about NBA Orlando, we're gonna be covering it throughout its the duration of the season.
We're going to be doing 11 episodes just to cover the 11 weeks of NBA Orlando and kind of see what happens from there, because we also are looking forward to a possible NFL season.
Yeah, some big movements occurred in the NFL world recently. The Patriots recently signing Cam Newton, baby.
Obviously, to replace our quarterback of 20 years. Still haven't quite gotten over it.
Don't remind me.
He'll
always be my quarterback. He commented, "I'll always be your number one" under Julian's Instagram. That he should have done it under mine.
I think for every Patriots fan,
he's my
he'll
number one.
always be. Especially for us. I mean, he was drafted the year I was born.
Yeah.
He's been a part of the Patriots for my entire life, and therefore he's been a part of my life for my entire life. And so it was very, very tough to see him leave. And, honestly, I think I would have rather seen him get traded after we won the Super Bowl.
I would have rather seen him retire. If he retired, I would have been cool. Dude, you're the GOAT. Retire as a Patriot. You've been a Patriot your whole... Anyway, so he's down there in Tampa Bay now.
Took Gronk with him.
Yeah, took Gronk with him too. I mean, just absolutely stabbed us in the heart. And now he's there getting a nice tan going.
And, over the last...
a lucrative deal too.
Very much so. I mean, that's what he was looking for from New England. And I think at the end of the day, we all knew that he wasn't going to get that from Belichick. I mean, Belichick is not going to sign off on... I mean, the Bucs are paying him $50 million for, 2 years?
2 years. And the Patriots are not doing that. No. And they've never been that team to spend tons of money on one player. They've always been in building pieces. These guys that are in the 6th, 7th round, maybe go undrafted. And let's just get a couple of those guys and stick them together. But now Cam Newton is coming,
I think we've known for a long time that Belichick was looking for a change in the quarterback position.
Right.
For a little bit, we were really worried about who was going to take that role. Would it be Stidham, and what that would look like if it was.
Right. I mean, I I wasn't like sad or disappointed that it was going to be Stidham because the dude can play. The dude can throw the ball.
Yeah.
But
he's got a lot of work to do.
You go from
Tom Brady
to Jared Stidham. It's like it's not the same.
It's certainly. Yeah. I mean, you know, I'm no disrespect to Stidham, but it's certainly a downgrade. Dude, come on. But I trusted him. I mean, I had faith in what the quarterback system of the New England Patriots could do to someone like him. I mean, he's got a lot of developmental potential.
Yeah, for sure he does. But Cam Newton's gonna start for sure. But the craziest thing really is that the Patriots can't lose on this. I mean, they signed him for the minimum. He has some incentives in his contract, but
right.
The max he makes is $7.5 million. That's pennies for Cam Newton. I mean, he's an MVP of the past, and he's
a Heisman Trophy winner, #1 overall pick in the draft.
I saw this tweet that was like, he's getting paid less with New England than he did at Auburn. And that, oh man, shout out Auburn athletics, you guys.
Yeah. They produced a lot of very impressive NFL
talent. they get a lot of dudes.
Yeah, certainly.
But
somehow. Maybe we'll never know how, but I think we all know.
They want to go. They want to go live in Auburn.
Yeah.
No.
But I mean, you know, I think that, you know, it was kind of expected that we would bring someone in. And maybe I just don't think that Patriots fans, I mean, certainly not me, I didn't think that we'd bring in someone so high profile.
No, I didn't either. And it's, I mean, we were just talking about how it's unlike the Patriots and that organization to spend all this money on, you know, a high profile player like that. But they went out and pulled the trigger, and nothing but respect to Bill Belichick. I knew he had an ace up his sleeve, though. He wasn't. I
didn't ever expect him to put all of his eggs in the Stidham basket.
Yeah. So it just shows really that I don't think New England is looking to rebuild.
So kind of talk to me about what you might think the upsides and maybe some of the downsides of the swap that we got.
Well, Brady is definitely more experienced than Cam, but I think Cam adds another element to the offense with his legs, especially, obviously, more so than Brady, because I think anyone in the NFL adds more legs than Brady.
Yeah. There hasn't, I mean, you know, even with QBs like Bledsoe and, I mean, I guess we haven't had another QB since really the 90s. I mean, the early 90s. But, you know, the Patriots have had a very stagnant passing game.
Yeah.
Not a lot of movement in the quarterback position, you know,
not a lot of just rollouts. Quick throws, getting the ball out quickly. But, I mean, Cam Newton, he's a big guy. He can stand in the pocket. He's a great pocket passer. I mean, earlier in his career, I think he definitely used his legs a lot more. But now he's really developed the ability to just hang back there and sling the ball. And, you know, I don't think that the transition, honestly, is going to be that tough. I think that they're both big guys that can hang in the pocket, take some shots. I mean, he's a good. He can throw the ball.
Yeah.
You know, he's solid. I'm really excited to see how it goes.
When I think about upsides of Cam, the first things that come to mind is just the winning mentality.
Yeah.
I mean, he goes out every game and he really gives it his all and tries to win.
Yeah, but I mean, you also had that with Brady.
Yeah,
that was
absolutely.
This whole thing, you know.
But I'm just saying, like, in terms of like the good and the bad of Cam, I'd say that like we're not losing much when it comes to just like, you know, motivation and a leadership role at quarterback.
Absolutely, and I think that Cam Newton is really hungry too. I think he wants to prove himself again on the big stage as a New England Patriot, and I mean, he's going to be given hopefully the tools that he needs to succeed.
Yeah.
I hope Belichick, you know, designs an offense around him that suits him, and I hope that he puts the pieces that are necessary for Cam to succeed, because I really do want to see him succeed.
Yeah, I mean, well, on paper, you know, Heisman winning #1 overall pick, is
league MVP.
is gonna have more potential than a 299th overall pick.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's tough because Cam had a lot of expectations on him coming out of college, and he didn't really live up to those expectations. And then he had a season
out the gate,
and then he had a season where he broke out completely, just broke out of his shell, and led an underwhelming Panthers team to a Super Bowl, to an almost undefeated season, an MVP for himself, and led him to a Super Bowl, which they unfortunately lost. But
to freaking Peyton Manning.
To Peyton Manning.
To bummy Peyton Manning. He was doing nothing. Von Miller and that defense carried that team. Anyway, that's a...
But, I just think that... I think that Cam really has that sort of ability to turn it on. But with that, it also, it's off sometimes.
It is.
Obviously, Cam Newton has a lot of upsides to him. I mean... Like I said, he is a Heisman winner, former number 1 overall pick, and an MVP.
Right.
But, along with his maybe questionable effort, what else kind of makes you say, is this the right move?
Well, he's not. I mean, I think Brady's the best passer ever. So you're losing something there. He's not as clutch as Brady. The thing that Brady gives me more so than any other quarterback in the NFL is this feeling of security. He's like, no matter how many points we're down, no matter how much time is left, I always know that 12 is going to deliver at the quarterback spot, and the ball is going to be where it needs to be when it needs to be there. Consistency, I guess, is maybe what I'm looking for. Consistency in big moments. And if Cam can do that, I mean, if he can go to New England and deliver in those big moments that New England fans have been used to, been used to playing in, then he has everything, all the tools that he needs. But that's really my only question with him is, will he be able to deliver, in the playoffs, in Foxborough, when it's cold, when all the eyes are on you and you need a touchdown.
Obviously, last year the Patriots had a lot of problems with receiving.
Yeah.
And this year, we haven't really made up for it.
Nope.
I mean, N'Keal Harry has gotten better.
Hopefully.
And he'll probably start. He'll probably be a starter.
Yeah.
We'll probably pick up another receiver, maybe an old guy or something. But
Belichick will...
I mean, Cam's main target, I think it's safe to say, his main target is going to be Julian Edelman for his debut season here in New England. And while that's not a bad thing, and it wasn't a bad thing for Brady. I honestly think that Cam may be the guy to make the best of a bad situation in that situation. Maybe even more so than Brady was.
I think that what the Patriots need and what Cam would really need to thrive is a fast guy on the outside. If you look at, whenever he was succeeding in Carolina, he had, a super quick dude on the outside, whether that be Ted Ginn or someone else that he could bomb balls to. And, that seemed to work really well for them. So just, some quick receivers, they had Funchess and all those guys, just, quick. They had a couple slot guys, but they had dudes that could just fly straight to the end zone.
Well, I mean, there's been stirs and rumors about Diggs. What do you think about Diggs?
Oh, I mean...
What do you think about the possibility of him coming to New England?
No way.
You don't think so?
If it happens, I would be extremely and pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. I mean,
but that would shake the earth.
Yeah. The thing that makes me even the slightest bit hopeful of something like that, I mean, it doesn't have to be Diggs.
Yeah.
And obviously there's a whole host of free agent receiving options. I mean, Devontae Adams is
he's
a hell
solid.
of an option.
Yeah.
But I just think that, we signed Cam on for the minimum guaranteed and a little more in incentives.
So
and there has to be a
with.
reason.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously our cap space was limited as it is. We put a lot of money into defense, and I think that shows, and I think that's a reason why maybe we shouldn't be as big of underdogs as we are right now. But I just feel like there's a little more wiggle room now that we've signed our quarterback to the minimum.
Yeah,
and there could be a few more
cost.
cuts that come and a couple trades, and I think that
And hopefully a big signing.
Hopefully a big signing. I think it could make room for a big signing. But I'm happy to have Cam. Overall, I mean there are ups and downs, but I'm happy to have Cam.
I just think that for the cost, even if he doesn't turn out, there's nothing that they can lose. They signed him for very little money, and the only way he makes more is if he plays well. And if he plays well, it's beneficial to the franchise.
I mean, Kaepernick was asking for more money than what Cam signed for. And I think it's just, he must have really wanted to play for New England because he signed for not a lot of money. And I hope that it's just like a year of the minimum, and if he does well, which we all have to assume that he does, and he'll get an extension. And I hope he does. I mean, I hope we see Cam as the long-term quarterback for the Patriots, assuming he does well.
He is definitely worth more than what he's being paid right now. And I hope that he earns his money and he makes it.
Absolutely. I mean, we're talking about this, and we're talking about his potential in this coming season, but we don't even know if there is going to be a coming season.
Very true.
And obviously, the kind of 11-episode run that we're working with here is going to be able to show us. We're going to be able to find out along the way what the future of the podcast is and what the future of American sports and world sports is, and we'll know if there's going to be an NFL season, and if there is, you bet your ass we're going to cover it.
Right, we're going to be here talking all about how Brady's going to win a Super Bowl in Tampa Bay this year.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be talking about that all that much. I don't want to wish that into existence.
I mean, I'd want him to. I wouldn't be mad if they won.
I have a few hang-ups about the Buccaneers.
Yeah, but Brady is my hero, so I hope he does well.
I hope he does well too. I hope we see some classic Brady Gronk highlights. But I'm not looking at them to challenge for the Super Bowl.
We'll see.
I want to see some highlights, but maybe not the Super Bowl, if there even is a Super Bowl.
Yeah, we'll see.
That being said, I'd like to say a few things about kind of what we're looking at in terms of structuring, in terms of what we're coming back to. We're distributing the podcast on all major platforms. Any platform you want to listen to a podcast on, you can listen to our podcast on that. It's coming out to YouTube, and it's coming on Austin Public Television if you live in the city of Austin, which is where we live.
Yep.
You can watch us on public television, or you can just catch the stream on YouTube. And there will be exclusive content. That's the first time we're announcing any sort of exclusive content on our Patreon. For $1 a month, you can view some exclusive content, and there will be more tiers to come in the future. The donations that come through the Patreon, also the donations that come through on Anchor, which is where we have our podcast, all of those will be donated for the 11-episode run of covering NBA Orlando to any organization supporting Black Lives and the Black Lives Matter movement. Obviously, with that kind of being the theme of the restart in Orlando, the fact that we're covering that, I mean, we kind of have to cover these issues, and we're very happy to do so, and very happy to support the people that are making actual headway.
Yeah, we hope to use our platform as much as we can, and we just want people to know that we support them.
Yeah. That being said, we're signing off for this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify and the podcast app.
See you guys next week. Thank you.
Wear a mask.